Hi, I'm Kenzie,
I'm Jamie.
and we are the Nervous Truth Network deck today. Um, this three rules that your brain is operating by every single day
Hmm.
to help make you aware. So we should start with a brief description of neuroplasticity. Your brain's ability to change, adapt, rewire itself
Yep.
by strengthening,
Yep.
reorganizing connections
Hmm.
between your neural pathways. And it's how you learn new skills. It's like when you pick up a guitar and you can teach yourself how to play guitar. It's the same thing. And it's with anything. That's how we can change our habits, our addictions, our attitudes, our thoughts, all of it. It's completely new experiences in the same experiences that I've always had. Like I see them differently. I see life differently now.
Hmm.
And I guess that just comes with the practice of this. I'm more grateful for the time that I have. I'm more calm and stable. Again, like we talked about with the waves, I'm not in the waves. I'm watching them. I can watch my life go by and enjoy it as opposed to being stressed by it
Well,
every
yeah,
single time.
drowning in it, being consumed by it. And the beauty of everything that's happening is everything that we do, think, be, feel, everything, it comes from our brain. Remember when they used to talk about like, it's all in your head?
Yeah.
And that was like such a like, what? How dare you tell me it is all in my head? The nerve of you.
Right.
You are telling me I'm crazy. All of these things. That was like so bad for someone to tell you that it was all in your head. But the reality is it is. That doesn't mean that it isn't happening. It's where all literally stems from. Everything, every signal, everything we think, feel, do, respond to, habits we form, the people we encircle ourselves with, the families we come from, has all literally been shaped by our nervous system making connections.
And then us
Yeah.
continuing to link them, even if it's destructive, even
Yeah.
if it's harmful to you, because change is hard.
Yeah.
The cost of me staying the same is more than the cost of me doing the work to change. This work with neuroplasticity and understanding myself and forming new habits is the hardest work I've ever done. Going back through all the things that have hurt me, all the people that have hurt me, it's hard and it's a lot of tears
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lot of pain, physical, emotional, all of it. But the cost of me staying the same is I can't get out of bed. I'm isolated. I have no friends. I'm just lonely
Mm-hmm.
because that's the path I was headed towards. That's what I was becoming. So I'd rather pay the price of changing than of staying the same.
And people think that because change is hard, that somehow it loses value.
Hmm.
It's like any good investment. It's worth it because it's going to pay for itself
Hmm.
over and over and over again. But I think for most people, I think why they don't change is because it seems so complicated. It feels so big and overwhelming. Like, how in the world do I achieve restructuring and redoing my neural pathways? That just feels like garbly-gook.
Hmm.
That somebody goes, okay, well, that's a lovely concept. Now, how do I actually do that? We start at the
With
very
our
beginning.
free rule.
It does have to be practical and it has to be achievable because why do you think anybody succeeds in their goals? If the expectation and the standard is so lofty and so high, none of us are going to do it. So I remember this one time when I was in my 20s and I'm just like so in shape. I wasn't. I was like, I'm going to run a marathon and I'm going to raise money for some society. And it just felt so good. And I like went to like the meeting of the running people to raise the money. And it was like hyped up. And I was like, I'm going to run this and I'm going to raise all this money and it's going to be phenomenal. And I'm going to save lives and all these things. And so after the hype wore off, I was like, I'm not going to run no freaking marathon. I can barely run a mile. And that's more than 1 mile. That's a lot of miles. And so again, the expectation was so big, there was no way I was going to meet that goal.
I was always the person I would say I'm trying. You saying that you're trying is not you actually trying because you trying is doing nothing. Do it if that's what you
Hmm.
want. There needs to be understanding and slowing down and taking care of yourself.
That's just all going back into our wiring system. I tell a lot of clients, you have to be really careful what you speak because our brains are listening. They're constantly listening to the feedback that we give them. And if we're constantly saying, you can't, you can't, you can't, you can't, you never will. Like growing up, I was in special ed. I have learning disabilities. And people would tell me, you're not smart enough. You're dumb. You'll never succeed. You'll never go to college. You'll never be where I've at. Why do you think that I've gotten most of my education? I call it revenge education. Do I love what I do? Absolutely. But in the same regard, I did this to prove to myself and everybody else. I hid from college. I would drop out of every class I went to because I was terrified and I was wired by fear.
Most of us are.
To say, oh crap, it's getting hard. I'm going to fail. I better bounce now before the inevitable happens. And I did that for so long until one day I was like, what am I doing? And yes, it did take lots of work to retrain out everything. Some of it's still there.
It's rediscovering yourself all the time and knowing who you are and loving who you are. But it's not as easy as just waking up and looking in the mirror and saying, I love you.
It starts maybe with, I like you, or I can tolerate you,
It's, I understand you.
or I want to understand you.
And it's going back to the childhood version of you and giving yourself a hug. Because I think that's what a lot of us needed. I was told how to feel and my insides were just exploding. I needed to talk. I needed a hug. And that's what you're talking about. You came back and were like, I'm going to become a doctor. I'm going to have my own office. I'm going to do all these things because of that voice that was made you.
Yeah, they were the voice in the back of my head. Every teacher who had told me, you're never going to learn that, right? To these people that had that so ingrained in my brain that I believed it wholeheartedly. Just like everything, we have to have a roadmap. And part of having a roadmap is rules. Let's talk a little bit about practical things that people can kind of start to help build that foundation. There's 3 rules that we want to focus on today. Number 1 is the brain learns through repetition. To refer back to Ken said about the guitar, the expectation isn't like first day you show up and you're going to learn guitar. The expectation isn't that we're supposed to have it after one lesson. Yet people think that's not how it's supposed to be. People want to practice new coping skills as much as possible. But the thing that happens with coping skills is that people don't know how to utilize coping skills. Second, with coping skills, it is just repetition. I have a lot of my clients when I teach them breathing, and they're like, I'll breathe like once and then it should be fine. And you're like, no, 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 that's not how that works. Like anything that we as humans have ever learned as a habit, such as driving a car, riding a bicycle, anything that we do that we actually master comes through the continued practice of reinforcing it.
It's discipline. I don't think society is lacking discipline. People are disciplined, just in unhealthy habits. They'll make sure that they have 30 minutes before they go to sleep to watch TikTok. They're disciplined in things that aren't healthy for them. And you need to be disciplined in things that make you feel good, that make your nervous system calm down. Because if you're anything like me, I didn't know calm. I did not know peace until I started doing this work and doing meditations and doing therapy exercises and the journaling. And I felt fully at peace, and that feeling is unmatched. If I could feel that all the time, ooh, it'd be great.
Don't get me wrong. I love inspiration. I love quotes. I love all the stuff that we see on all of the feeds all the time. But that's not how people change. People change through repetition, not inspiration, not motivation, not information. I am a proponent for self-care, but I am really an advocate for care that truly leads to change, not just I got to escape from my kids for an hour to get my nails done. One thing that I've heard a lot from clients is that self-care has always been framed as selfish. People always say, I don't have time. That's the biggest cognitive line of hooey I've ever heard. Everybody could find 5 minutes to just sit and breathe. I even tell clients, let's say that you feel like you truly don't have time. Let's say you commute to work. Every time you hit a red light, sit and breathe. You start making it accessible for you. And then it starts to immerse itself in your actual living and doing. You have to make it accessible.
Well, that's what creates the new habits. When I first started doing breathing, I did it in my car. I want to have an hour drive to work. That was never self-care time before.
Yeah.
That wasn't free time. I
Yeah.
dreaded it. Like, I
Yeah.
just want to sit in the car for an hour on my way to work into traffic. But I've started doing breathing. I started doing some pelvic floor stuff while I was driving. And then that bled into me doing it at home. And then it bled into me doing yoga and stretching. I was building that neural pathway. If I do it one time and I ignore it, then yeah, it's not going to be good for me. It's the same with budgeting.
Yeah.
If you do it for 1 month and you don't pay attention to it, then you're like, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah. And abandon it.
You have to pay attention. You have to keep
Yes.
doing these things to form these habits, build these neural pathways
Yes.
to better yourself and better your life.
It's not just about what we understand, it's what we practice.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks this process is cognitive. Like, oh, if I think it, it will be. Well, yes, to a degree, but you also have to practice those healthy things that you're thinking. It can't just be like a random thought, I'm going to breathe in my brain. I'm thinking it. I'm thinking about the breaths. No, we're actually doing the breaths because we're working with an entire system. The cognitive side is just one piece of the entire system. So we have to be fully practicing all of the pieces, and that's going to continue to strengthen that pathway. Now you're adding in the sensory, input and experiences. It's also going to make those memories. And when we have that memory, we're more likely to remember that and go, oh, hey, that really did work. It also has a huge impact on placebo. If we believe it, if we drink the Kool-Aid, right? If we are in it, then that is a higher probability that we're now instilling hope. Then the practice leads to change, but it has to start somewhere.
Rule 2 is to understand that your brain prefers familiar over healthy. Your brain is not always going to tell you it's the healthy thing. Your brain is not going to tell you that you want carrots over cream pie. That's your habits because that's what's familiar. That's what you keep doing. So you keep doing the same habits. Whatever that may be, that's walking on a treadmill, taking care of yourself, going to the gym, your brain is going to keep doing what you've been doing because that's the neural pathway that has been used.
Yeah, because the brain's job isn't just happiness, it's prediction. It prefers predictability. Your brain wants to know what's coming next. So when things are practiced, the brain goes, oh, what comes next is I'm going to go eat that pizza and then sit in front of the TV because that's what I do. It's not going to think, well, no, I'm just going to go get on that treadmill and then I'm going to outside and meditate and things like that. Going back to kind of rule 1 is that we have to enforce this by doing the repetition. The repetition then becomes the prediction, becomes predictable, which means we're going to increase the likelihood we're actually going to do it.
But mind you, it's not easy. Creating new habits and doing these things is
No, they
not
suck.
easy because you can't do it all at once. If you do it all at once, you're going to fail. It's like people that do crash diets. Start doing these things. Start taking a moment to breathe because it will bleed into other things.
Let's focus on relationships because that's a huge part of the work that I do. So people might say, why anxiety feels strangely comfortable or chaos feels strangely comfortable, why negative self-talk can feel normal, why some people sabotage success. The brain often says, I know this road, even when the road leads to somewhere painful. So again, we've talked about is familiar doesn't mean safe, it just means practice. People always ask me, well, why do I choose the people that I choose in a relationship? Help me figure out why I choose these people. And then as we start to go back over their life, including their childhood and their adolescence, they start to realize, oh, that's why I choose them. That's why I'm drawn to the people that I associate with because of those neural molding moments over my lifespan that made that go, oh, this is like home. But they go, that's just what we do. And that's okay. It's normal. I feel like we've almost like weaponized normal to say like it's normal when it's probably the furthest thing from anything healthy or good.
Well, people do that, go out drinking. It's normal to be hundreds of $1,000s in debt. It's normal to smoke weed, anything. None of them are good habits.
Yeah.
It's normal to
Yeah.
overeat. Physically, yeah, there can be problems,
Mm.
but emotionally, that's hard because you're in this cycle, but that's what your brain knows because it's familiar. Whether or not it's healthy, it's going to keep telling you to do it because that's what you do. So that's how you cope.
Let's frame it as the spider web. It's all interconnected. So let's think of somebody who, let's say, over their whole lifespan has been really, really self-critical. And I've heard this time and time again from people in session. When I start to suggest other things, they go, well, that just seems like I'm faking it. That seems wrong. That feels uncomfortable. Like, why should I have to be fake? And I always reiterate that it's not that that's actually fake. It's just you're really freaking uncomfortable. And so it feels fake, but that's also your comfortable brain is trying to convince you to stay in that same pattern.
But that's what fake it till you make it actually means.
It really does.
Yeah. People are like, I hear about in my field a lot.
Yes.
Imposter syndrome.
Yes.
I felt an imposter at every job that I've started.
I think most people do. Yeah.
You don't know what you're doing when you first start. And even if you know what you're doing, if you've been in the field for 20 years, if you go to a new job, you still don't know that place. You don't know the people.
Unfamiliar feels dangerous.
Correct. Mind you, sometimes you're fleeing from something that's making your nervous system feel in danger. You're fleeing from a bad situation into another one that you don't know. But sometimes that comfort is better because it's a better system. Sometimes you're right back in it. But when you get right back in it, because of what you choose to allow yourself to accept, if you end up back in a bad job or in a bad relationship, whatever scenario we're talking about, then it just compiles and then it builds on to the last one. And like me, I was at the point where my mind and body was so disconnected. I can't describe it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Have you ever been there? I just felt so disconnected. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know why I kept surrounding myself with the people that I was because I didn't have anybody around me that I could truly trust. I thought that I was the common denominator in all my problems. And I was. I wasn't the common denominator in my problems, but I was the common denominator because of what I allowed in my life and because of my lack of setting boundaries. I didn't know what a boundary was. Now I do because that's what makes my nervous system feel healthy.
Yeah. And people assume that uncomfortable means bad. I think that's kind of how we've been trained. Oh, but I actually tell people that when it's uncomfortable, you're actually probably heading the right direction because change is on the other side of that. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable because that's typically what change looks like. That uncomfortable feeling. And what do we all do as humans? We go uncomfortable, bad, dangerous, don't do it. From what we can tell and what we've read and what we've seen research wise, it looks like just to have that week to 10 days, you're more apt to come back to that behavior quicker than without at least having some level of basic, like a 7 to 10 habit reset.
That makes sense because I was doing at least a little bit every day. And now when I'm not doing it, I want it because I know it. Now I can feel myself getting dysregulated and then I go meditate and I fall asleep.
And life is good. So let's talk about rule 3. Attention is fuel. What the heck do I mean by that, Kenzie? Do you know?
Pay attention to what fuels it.
Yeah, whatever we do, that's what gets strengthened. Same thing when we put fuel in a car. The car can't get anywhere without fuel. Our attention, our behaviors, our actions will continue to be strengthened. Like if we go work out, as we build and build and build, it gets better, better, better because we're building that consistency and that consistency leads to change. When a different part of our channel, we're going to talk about like society and the societal impacts. Think about social media algorithms. Watch one video about dogs. Suddenly your feed is full of dogs. Watch 10 or more and now it's all dogs. Your brain works similarly. The things you repeat and you focus on become easier and easier to find. But what was continuously find could be dangerous. It could be bad stuff. It could also be really good stuff. Like the happy dogs in your feed, it's the same thing with our lives.
But so to digest
Mm.
2026,
Mhm.
a California jury found both Meta and YouTube liable for designing their platforms to be addictive for minors. I don't think that we can even talk about this on YouTube. Probably not, because how's that work if you're talking crap on the platform that you're posting on? I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe we'll figure it out. Regardless, so they know, mind you, we're over here posting on it.
We are.
Not to be addictive, but maybe to be addictive in a healthy way. Like we're talking about stuff that can help you unplug from that world. You're going to keep getting shown what you watch, what you like, what you comment on. And even if you don't like it and you're watching it, that's what you're going to keep getting. So you're just rage baiting yourself because you're watching.
Yeah. If you're repeating it, it becomes easier to find. If you constantly focus on danger, your brain's going to get better at finding danger. If you focus on constantly making mistakes, your brain gets better at finding mistakes. Constantly focusing on symptoms, your brain becomes highly skilled at monitoring symptoms, right? This doesn't mean that you're ignoring your problems. It means that you're understanding that attention is training. Attention tells your brain this matters, bring me more of it. And that's with anything positive or negative. We're hopefully putting ourselves out there so somebody goes, hey, I really, really like that. I need more of that because it's insightful, it's humorous, it's uplifting, it's positive. It's not just negative rage baiting, it's stuff of deeper context. We want people to find their peace, to find their bliss, to find their joy that comes through this understanding and self enlightenment of knowledge, which is empowering because we go, oh, wait, I can help myself. Maybe I can heal myself. Maybe I can fix who I attract.
Maybe I don't have to be in pain. Maybe I can better the relationships
Yeah.
I have. When I was in pain, I didn't, there was no hope or joy. And I had to, the self and like, can put these things into place for you. Nobody can breathe for you. You have to do that yourself.
You
And
do.
you have to form your own habits, even if you don't want to. I didn't want to do this work when I first started it. I just didn't want to do what I was doing. That's it. That's how I started. As I was disconnected, and I'm like, I can't do this, so I'm gonna try something else because this I can't live like this anymore.
This has to be awareness and self attunement to realize the part that we play. So many people think that this stuff is outside of their control. They think that's just how I operate. Like they don't realize that they can access these things. They can harness these things.
I think these rules really explain ourselves, our symptoms, our behavior, the way we act, the way we think, the way we talk, how we interact.
Mhm.
All of these rules explain it. So,
Mhm.
one, your brain learns through repetition. Two, your brain prefers familiar over healthy. And three, attention is fuel.
Those rules in a nutshell explain so much human behavior. From emotions to relationships to habits to stress to confidence, everything can be brought together by those rules and can be changed and challenged and edited through just following three simple rules of curiosity and self reflection and this desire to want to find your best self. So, what's the practical challenge?
Take a breath.
Take a breath. Of course, always take a breath. I want us to kind of look at ourselves as like scientists. Curiosity diffuses critical. If we're like scientist driven mind, we're going to be very open to possibility. Some things that I want you to ask yourselves as this scientist. Three questions. What am I repeating? So, what thoughts, behaviors, or emotions or reactions show up over and over? We're wanting to start to see that neurological chain. You have to see what your chain is formed with and of what's being repeated. Now, how do I support what's being repeated? What feels familiar? It doesn't just have to be what feels bad or what feels heavy or unhealthy. It could just be what feels familiar.
What's normal to you? Do you get up
Yeah,
and
yeah,
walk to work? Do you
yeah.
go to work? Like, what is your normal? And accept that for what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't try to change it.
And then the last is, where is my attention going? What am I feeding every day? Again, back in like all those algorithms again. What's going to come up on our life's algorithms, good or bad? What are we feeding every day that's going to create that? What wolf are you going to feed? And whatever one you feed is the one that's going to survive. So we can have this one that's healthy and brand new habits and coping mechanisms and hope and faith and whatever it is, that one's going to get bigger. Well, the other one is now going to be depleted because it's not receiving anything. It's going to shrink. That's what's going to happen here with these neural pathways. That neural pathway is going to be forgotten because that's what the brain does. When the brain deems something is not important, we forget it. It's like, do I remember my high school Spanish class? Heck no. I do not remember high school Spanish.
I think we remember a lot
Yeah.
of school.
Yeah. I had blocked that all out because my brain deemed it as I don't need that. It's not important because I don't utilize it. I don't utilize Spanish. I don't speak Spanish on a regular basis, if ever. So it forgets it.
Yeah.
It becomes a non-necessity. That's kind of what happens here is if we're not feeding it, it's going to go away like high school Spanish. And the good things that we are feeding into, like you were saying with like meditation and all of those things will remain and will not be forgotten because we're constantly back in that network, adding to it, building it like a little structure.
I think the goal here back next week, wanting to learn, wanting to understand, and
being open, non-judgmental.
that to start is just human behavior and why do we think the way we do? What formed you into that? And how can you love yourself?
Well, because if we can learn a pattern, we can always learn a new one.
We can always
we can unlearn a pattern and learn a new one because that's the hope in all of this is that anything that has been done can be undone because we're always moving forward. That can't be. I do not recommend that because orange is not the new black. It is no one's color. Okay. We were talking about learned behaviors. We're looking at, is that pathology? Is that like a neural pathway? Yeah. Where did that come from? Is it just your psychopath? And,
No, I always get really proud of people, and there's been plenty of other people in my life, but like people that I know that were born into situations where they should not have succeeded. They went against the odds by being who they are now. I love those stories. I did my internship in a prison, and with that, I learned a lot about recidivism and who is a repeat offender and why are you a repeat offender.
Yeah. What brought you?
And my internship was with the case managers. So we're the people that are sitting down with the inmates, learning about their lives, learning about what brought them here, what they did for work, what they can help with inside of the prison, what kind of groups we can get them in. And man, the people that I met that had been going back and back and back, they were typically raised in that. Like you're raised in thinking that these types of things are okay.
It just becomes a habit and a pattern.
Right. I think all of that are political views. That's why a lot of people have the same political views
as their parents.
We think like our family does.
Family of origin, yeah.
I have that with my husband. He's very much like, oh no, that's normal. And I'm like, no, just because that's what you grew up with does not mean that that's normal or that's healthy. And even if it is normal, a lot of the things that are normalized today are not healthy for us, especially for our nervous system. Take away all the physical and societal problems that we're having, but our personal nervous systems are overloaded and we keep overloading them because it's normal.
Absolutely.
Because everybody else comes before us, and you're supposed to put your own oxygen mask on first. You have to do that in every scenario.
Exactly. In life, I'm sure people are like, probably want to know more about the social things like family dynamics, society, groups, all of these things. And we're going to do future stuff specifically to dive deeper into those concepts so that we're not just kind of glossing over them. Let's look at all the different parts, when it comes to society, from our families to our communities to our faith to the social world as a whole. We're going to come back to that in a future episode. So stay tuned. Thank you guys for being here. This work is so, so important. We have to spread this message. This is why we're here, taking time away from our families, from our lives, to sit here and talk about these really important concepts that I don't think are out there enough. So please come back for more.
And remember, one signal isn't no.
One stumble isn't stuck.
Okay.
Take two.
One stumble is not stuck. It's a signal. It's not the end.
Okay. See you next time.